2, 1.
Greetings, greetings, divine all blessed. Welcome to another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Come on in, come on in. The water is hot, the fire is a-boiling. The fire is hot and the water is a-boiling. Come on in, come on in. Welcome, greetings, Coco Monday. Greetings, beloved. Divine all blessed, peace and love, joy and prosperity. Come on in. Come on in, come on in. This Monday, July 27th. Come on in. Welcome. All is truly and indeed a blessing. Greetings, greetings. Come back home to Africa. The fatty calf and golden rain are waiting for you once again. Coming back to you. I'm longing for my family. Coming back to you. Out of bondage and now I am free. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da da da. Da da da. Greetings, greetings, and salutations. Welcome, welcome. All is truly and indeed a blessing. Come on in, come on in. Greetings, greetings. Yes, indeed. DP, yes, indeed. DP, yes, indeed. Love and light, joy and prosperity. Greetings, greetings. All is a blessing. Olinka Green, all is a blessing, beloved. All is a blessing. Latoya Williams, all is a blessing. All is a blessing. Keona D. Carter, our beloved moderator, all is truly and indeed a blessing. Come on in, Neophyte Bokur. Come on in, Tasha with Taste. Taste with Tasha. Tasha. Come on in, Taste with Tasha. Come on in. Greetings, greetings. Greetings, Keisha Smith. All is a blessing, truly and indeed all is a blessing. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. 845-277-9143. 845-277-9143. That is my live listening and call-in number. 845-277-9143. Greetings, welcome, greetings, peace and love, joy and prosperity. Come on in. All is truly and indeed a blessing. Come on in. Welcome. Come on in. Welcome to my house. Come on in. Greetings, greetings, House of the Divine Prince, Hoodoo Central, LLC, Thai Potions. Come on in. Welcome. Come on in. All is a blessing. All is a blessing. Greetings. Greetings, greetings. Paleo, Yohuru Waku, Jumbo, Aquaba, Kedu, Bawani, Eshu Alek Buana, Ko Siweri, Awo Unlo Uto no Iwo, Ara Afanbo Osi, Obatala Mi Ita ni Ibo, Onilio Aban Eshu. Eshu is the respected elder who flogs, confronts, and uncovers fools. That one versed in mysteries uses truth to own you. He causes scatter to feed poverty. Obatala shakes rascals to have sacrifice. The owner of warnings is the one who is Eshu. And so we say, Abaru, Aboye, Aboshishe, Ashe. May our Ebo reach your rune. May our Ebo be accepted. May our Ebo allow what we desire to come to pass. And so we say, Ashe. Divine, all blessed, peace and love, joy and prosperity, elevation, relevation, revelations, and manifestation. You are now listening live and always in archive at your leisure and convenience to the Divine Prince, Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, author, and advisor, Elagun Oloye Hoodoo Obeah Bokur, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic from a Pan-African Hoodoo world spiritualist perspective. Understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing if you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test in one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. This is indeed my constant prayer, my mantra, my affirmation, reverberation. It is my reiteration, and indeed my ever-living reality. It's crucial to the very foundation of my understanding, my teaching, my walk, my works, my demonstration along this divine, all blessed life path and journey. It is how I, the Divine Prince, make sense out of all that we're challenged with here in our daily existence on Mother, Father, Earth. And it is my personal place of power and understanding, the place from where I begin, the place from where I realize and crystallize all my endeavors, understanding that I and I alone create and co-create my divine destiny, and I alone create and co-create my divine, all blessed reality. And so it is. Ashe. Ashe, oh, Ashe. Ashe. And I want to say thank you. If you understand all is a blessing, indeed, thank you. Gratefully, humbly, deeply, emphatically, I offer thanks and salutations, for indeed all is a blessing. Today is Monday, July 27, 2020, and I am emanating and vibrating with you and for you live, virtually, verbally, cosmically, quantum, universally from this working temple of the House of the Divine Prince, Thai Potions, Hoodoo Central LLC, Hoodoo Central Federal Trademark, Hoodoo Central Federal Copyright. All is truly and indeed a blessing. Come on with it. Come on with it. And I'm always grateful and humble before the ancestors and those who came before me along this Hoodoo Obeah life path and journey. I'm always humbled and grateful for the power, the knowledge, the truth, the teaching, and of course the Obeah stick as it is passed down, as it is gifted unto me, and as I now gift it unto you. This legendary culture, this tradition, this story, this history, it is indeed our sacred stories, our sacred stories. And I invite you to visit my faithful, beloved historian, teacher, friend, partner, Denise Augustine, and you can visit us at www.oursacredstories.com, www.oursacredstories.com. Understanding that spiritual knowledge and power lies in its efficacy. Efficacy, its ability to manifest tangible, reliable results and manifestation right here, right now, in this most present moment in time space. All else is vanity, all else is ego, all else is an illusion, all else is a distraction. And it's for that reason that I for one, will not be silenced. I for one cannot be silenced. For indeed, even Dr. King said, and I think I posted it, shared it earlier today on my twitter.com/the divine prince. Twitter.com/the divine prince. Please visit, like, share, follow on my Twitter. I would most certainly appreciate it. But even Dr. King said, he who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helps to perpetrate it. He who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it. And so from that platform, from that basis, I won't be silent. I can't keep quiet. I dread the day that I might be mistaken for you. I dread the day that I might be confused with you. And for those who aren't following me, the you is those who would appropriate, who would bastardize, who would overtly commercialize for the sake of disintegration of our culture, our practices, and indeed our traditions. Does it matter? Absolutely, it matters. Does it matter when you visit your pharmacist? Does it matter when you visit your gynecologist? Does it matter when you visit your dentist and your physician? Does it matter when you buy your food from your local trusted grocery resource? Does it matter? Absolutely, it matters. And so indeed, I will not be quiet. I will not be silenced. This voice will be heard. Respect the Voodoo will be heard. All is a blessing will be heard. And let's be clear, it'll ring long after me. It'll ring on long after my physical demonstration. All is a blessing is here to stay, beloved. Respect the Voodoo is here to stay. And that ashe, that energy that's connected with it, that it is created from, that it is built upon, will carry it forward. So I, for one, will not be quiet. Does it matter? Absolutely, it matters. My people don't need yet another distraction. My people don't need yet another detour. My people don't need another complication in their progress, another roadblock in their progress to finding self, to the discovery of self, to the empowerment of self. So does it matter? Indeed it does. And when you don't know any better, you get a momentary pass. But when you know better, you do better. So yes, I will sing it out. I will sing it out loud from the mountaintops. I will preach it. I will bring it. It will continue to come forward. Absolutely. I won't be silenced. Absolutely. Cut out your foolishness. Who remains silent in the face of immorality? Who remains silent in the face of evil? Who remains silent in the face of wanton wickedness and the conversion of people's time and resources and trust and money and support and love? No, beloved, I won't be quiet. Not this one. I won't be quiet. All is truly and indeed a blessing. And I greet each and every one of you, both individually and collectively, if I have not done already. Melissa Worthen, greetings, beloved, divine, all blessed. You look like you in Jamaica, at least in that picture. Keisha Smith, greetings, beloved, greetings, greetings, greetings. Denise Preston, welcome back, our faithful participant and listener. Thank you so much for being present. Ashe, ashe, oh, ashe. Thank you. Greetings. Did I miss anybody? Angelica Holmes, thank you so much for returning as a part of our participating audience. We certainly love and appreciate everyone who continues to support and show up and donate and participate. But I take pride and joy in those who are doing the work. Greetings, one Wapani, my beloved sister. Hello, hello, greetings, greetings. All is a blessing. Sterling Miller, thank you so much for being present. Greetings, greetings, beloved. Greetings. Yes, that picture like it's just life. Okay, Sterling. Arisha, Eva, Arisha, Mojuba, Arisha, welcome, Arisha, welcome, welcome. And of course, give all due respect to our beloved group chat moderator, Keona D. Carter. She helps me to not miss anything. She helps me to pay attention to what's going on in the chat, because y'all know I can go off on a tangent sometimes, and I can get caught up in the explanation of things sometimes. And I invite you to utilize my phone line, if you will, at area code 845-277-9143. Let your voice be heard. If your visage is not ready for camera time, you can always call me at 845-277-9143. And of course, follow the link that is scrolling at the bottom of the screen if you indeed wish to be a part of the on-screen participation. In fact, let me hide it just for a second so I can copy it. And then I'm going to pop it back into the chat again. If you just follow that link, you too can come on and share your piece, share your vision, speak your mind, share your thoughts. I, as always, have so many things that I want to talk about, and I've been accused of being over-prepared. It's that Labor Day Virgo 11-11-33 thing that's going on. And so I'm often over-prepared. I often have way more tabs open than I need. I often have way more books available to me than required in that moment. But I'm the son of a teacher, a retired educator. I'm the son of a retired minister. I'm the son of a lineage of ministers and teachers and sharers of wisdom and information. So it's sort of organic to what I do to have way more information. And indeed, my godchildren are grateful for the wealth of information. Those who can figure it out, those who can get it, are grateful for it and understand the power and the value in information. What kind of world would it be if we all had to learn and relearn everything on our own, every day, every minute, every moment from scratch? What kind of world would it be if we had to relearn fire every day and every individual couldn't contain that and retain that information to the point that it becomes collective knowledge? And collective knowledge, of course, then settles in into your genes, then settles in into your blood, then becomes a part of that Jacob's ladder, that DNA structure that exists within us, but also around us when we understand the dynamics of what that is. And in the dynamics of string theory, any reality that you can understand right now, that you can accept right now, that you can envision right now, whether you agree with me or not, it's not necessary for thought to this idea. But in the processes of string theory, any reality that you can envision right now, that you can see right now, that you can crystallize right now, is already real somewhere in one of the multi-dimensional spaces in which we live in which we create in. So why not set up connectivity to that which is in your best interest, to that which reinforces what's true, to that which reinforces what's organic, to that which reinforces the mind. And indeed, the mind is our God center, is our God point. It's what connects us indeed to the realm of the divine and spirit and these multi-dimensional spaces that Einstein and many other mathematicians and scientists configure in the idea of what string theory is. So why not embrace the idea that all is a blessing, that all is well, that all is as it should be, that all is in balance, in the effort to further that wave of energy, that move of demonstration, and not just in your personal life, but then in your space and in your environment. Why do we hold on to those things that don't serve us? Why are we quick to take the detour to those things that only lengthen the agony, that only lengthen the pain? I presented before in previous shows that it's built into the culture. It's built into the commercials. It's built into the system. It's built into the idea of what popularity is, of what acceptance is, of what being American is. And it doesn't leave a whole lot of room for individual thought process. Some would say that's in there by design to prevent us from being self-thinking, self-sufficient, self-motivated, for fear of the rogue energy, if you will, for fear of the rogue individual or the rogue colony or the rogue community that refuses to accept the status quo, that refuses to accept things as they are. I'm looking at my phone lines, area code 612. Area code 612. Who's calling and where are you calling from? Area code 612, are you with me? Okay, you can continue to listen. I did open your mic. Greetings, beloved Kalia. How you doing?
Greetings, I'm
I can't
blessed.
hear you. I
Can you
got,
hear me
hold
better?
on. I just figured out I got my computer on mute. Hold on, let me go back to the phones again. 612, who's calling and where are you calling from? Yes, greetings. Did you get a new phone? What's going on? I can I can actually hear you. Okay. Okay, you broke up just a little bit. I heard the why with magic meet. I need to hear that first part again. Hmm. Hmm. I do. To some degree, I agree with you. I think magic is being overused. I think magic has become over relied upon, and particularly right now in this present moment in history. Um, we want to use magic for very, to figure out what color I should wear today, to figure out should I go to the left or to the right, you know, um, and are not applying the magic from within. Because magic is in nature, magic is in the universe, magic is indeed in creation, but magic is in you. Magic is in you. And so we had the fear, you hear me say it all the time, Sterling, that fear of doing the work, doing the light work, the shadow work, the dark work, the hard work. We have that fear. And when we think about all the images that we receive about what magic is, even in entertainment, let's look at that right now as a teaching aid. The witch, the sage, they're always ancient, they're always old. If not 100 years old, they're 1,000 years old. They have the wart, they have the white hair, they have all this outward symbolism that suggests history, that suggests experience, that suggests having gone around the block more than one time. The concept of sort of the youthful witch. I don't know who that is, and if you're watching me, please stop calling my Skype. It's really irritating now. Because I know it's somebody who's watching me right now, and I can't answer a call right now. So stop calling my Skype, please. And you notice the call did not transfer to my cell phone that time. So thank you. I know you heard me. So the idea that the youthful, virgin, even in ancient times, that was always an illusion. I understand the old hag, the old witch, the sage, the warlock could all transform themselves into youth if they choose. Can appear as their real age if they choose. Can choose to be any age in between if they choose. But it's not the same thing as acquired ashe, acquired magic. I say all the time that we don't own ashe. You can't buy it. You can't rent it. You can't storehouse it. It's a collective universal energy like chi, if you will, ashe. So it has to be fed. And it cannot be fed in isolation. It cannot be fed singularly, So there's this rush to want to produce quick, shortcut magic that we see in cartoons, that we see in fairy tales, that we saw on Charmed, both the old Charmed and the new Charmed, the TV show Charmed. And this idea that magic is somehow now not just practical, Sterling, but carnal, if you understand the word. Carnal. When we say carnal, we're talking about flesh level. We're talking about survival level. We're talking about without higher chakras being activated. When we think of what's just carnal, what just meets the instant gratification, what just meets your need right now and in the moment. And as I was saying in the introduction, when we think about TV commercials for the last 100 years, take a pill, drink a bottle of this machine for not just send me $9.99, and this product will make you sexy, will make you thin, will make you young, will make your hair grow back, will make your boobs pop out, and we buy it. We buy it. And these commercials have been on TV for decades now, and they still keep coming. There's a new improved version of the new improved, and it feeds what's carnal. It's a distraction to what's spiritual. It's a distraction to what's real, because what's spirit is real. Spirit is real. I beg you all to understand that one concept. Spirit is more real than anything that's operating in the physical. If we break this down to its molecules, to its atoms, to its carbon, hydrates and all that other stuff, this is all the same thing. Me, this wood, this dirt, this plant, this rock, it's all the same thing. Now man has introduced artificial elements onto the planet, which could be destroying us all, and could be here forever, according to science, themselves. But that which is for the quick fix often leaves a toxic residue that then has to be removed, cleaned up, fixed later on. Oh yeah, you're good to eat and I'm not here to bash no brands, okay? But you can eat a Whopper every day. You can eat a Big Mac every day. You can eat a what's the biggest sandwich Wendy's got? Wendy's triple burger, bacon. You can eat that every day if you choose, and you might say you are okay until your arteries clog up, until you have that heart attack, until they discover that cancer, you know. And so the shortcut is always pushed in front of us. You know, how cheap is the triple burger compared to real food? How cheap is fast food meal compared to going and buying lettuce, greens, beans, you know, healthy, real food? So it's a bad message, Sterling, that's been reinforced and pumped at us at every level. We can't just blame the commercials. We have to look at the music. You know, we now have a generation, those of you who are younger than me, we now have a couple of generations who have grown up seeing people with no education, no skills beyond maybe they're cute, maybe they can rap, maybe they can keep a rhythm, you know. Now that's not to disparage real musicians, real professional artists. But I'm talking about, again, growing up in that send me $9.99 and you can be whatever you want overnight, and seeing what appears to be the illusion of people blowing up. Y'all know blowing up is an illusion, right? Nobody really blows up overnight. Not really. So there's the idea that it's supposed to come quick. It's supposed to come without any work. It's supposed to come without any study, and they're missing part of the equation, Sterling, and that is, as you, just like the witch, it is displayed in fantasy. As you learn, as you grow, you're picking up real tools, real powers, to use gaming words, real magic that sticks to you, that stays with you forever, and therefore empowers your work moving forward. And there's too many that are trying to build with no foundation. They're trying to build with no instruction. That are trying to build based on what they see people talk about on YouTube. And some of the people y'all looking at on YouTube are comedians. They're not spiritualists. They're not voodoo practitioners. Okay, Kalia, Sterling, give me a moment. Come on in, Kalia. How you
Hi,
doing?
how are you? I'm just here to like listen and learn. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We hear you good.
I'm a mom of 10, and you know, it's a journey. I'm a grandmother
A
of
mom of
7.
10.
A mom of 10 and a grandmother of 7.
Girl,
So on this journey, no, that I do to you, that I do to you. I'm here to learn. I believe in studying. I believe if you study and you learn from people and you do research, you can be strong in anything. You know what I mean? So I'm here to learn. I'm not here to talk because what I know is nothing. A man who knows everything knows nothing at all.
That's right.
So I believe you have a lot to teach, and I'm here to learn. So there's something I can give my children. Unfortunately, I'm just learning a lot about my heritage.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do a lot of digging and a lot of research, because whenever you're going into these type of things, I believe you have to know who your ancestors are. You have to know where you come from, because the strength is there. That is the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of digging. I did a lot of soul searching. And on this journey, I found out that I come from 3 royal tribes. And one of the tribes that I come from is the Benin people, that are very powerful in Voodoo.
Yeah.
So now, and I was in the church. I was a gospel singer. So I understood when you said, I'm a child from the church. I raised my children in the church, but at a certain age, I broke off. The church is a good foundation. It is a good start, but it's so much lost in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I began to journey and soul search and know that I always knew there was more out there, because we're all spiritual beings. The truth is always within us. So now, as I'm getting older, I'm 43. Can you tell?
43 with 10 kids? No.
I'm
You look all
44 soon.
yeah, you look all up 25.
Thank you, love. So as I'm getting older now I'm seeking where my foundation and where to start my journey. So I started with meditation, and now I'm starting with learning, learning and meditation, reading books, just, but the truth is never going to be completely in a book. You
Mhm.
have to learn from someone. You have to have someone to teach you, and you have to be willing to learn.
Unfortunately, where we are in the world in terms of global world timing, like you just said, we have to read the books. One of my godchildren, I had this discussion yesterday as it relates to education
Okay.
and sort of this battle that's brewing right now, especially in our community, in the
Sorry.
environment of coronavirus, over how we educate our children. And of course,
Right.
there are aspects of the conscious community that have been disputing public education for years, being exposed to the system, learning the system, going into universities, which costs a great deal of money, by the way, to be a member, quote unquote, of the system. And my take on it was that my mother, who is a retired educator, who did indeed expose us to system education. I went to both public school and private school coming up, but she also taught us on her downtime. When the other kids were playing on Saturday, we were doing math and science.
I'm
When
that
others
mom.
were taking, whole vacations during the summer, we were reading books and doing book reports. We were going to a museum every weekend. We were going to a library every weekend. We
Yep.
to the theater, to the symphony, to the opera, to see gospel. We were exposed to the world without physically having to travel the world. And particularly those of you who reside in big cities like Chicago and Philly and New York City. And I often hear from those regions that we don't have a lot of people like you up here. I often hear from those regions that we don't have a lot of space to do what y'all do up here. And I just don't agree. When I was living in Chicago, I grew herbs. I had potted plants. I also knew where they were in the environment. Before they tore up Belmont Rocks and the lakefront of Chicago, it was lined with peach trees, apple trees, blackberry trees. All of that is gone now that they had put that concrete step there in Chicago. And so New York City, find out where the vegetation is. Find out
Well, I'm
what.
here in Florida.
Well, you're down here with me. So Florida, Louisiana, you
and,
understand.
and,
We
and I
have
grow herbs. I grow herbs. That's my line of area that I've been in and that I'm studying. I grow everything to heal the body.
oh, that's gone now that they put that concrete step there.
And that's
Ole,
what I enjoy doing that. I enjoy healing the body. I have everything, pretty much I grow everything in my house, in my yard, to grow and to heal the body. I believe in all natural remedies. I
Mhm.
eat a fairly healthy life. I don't use sugar at all in my house. I'm not diabetic. I have a little bit of blood pressure, but that's when you have teenage daughters, honey.
Yes, yes. And places like Florida, Louisiana, California, you'd be surprised what kind of food is in your community or in your city.
Right.
I remember, when I lived uptown New Orleans, I knew where every mango tree was, where every kumquat tree was, where every misbelief tree was, where every orange tree was, and I would
Yeah.
go and collect, my products. But we do the same thing in terms of herbs. There's a cute little app that I found. I really shouldn't advertise for them. It's not like I'm getting any money for it, but it's called Picture This. Picture This. And it does have a yearly subscription price. But with Picture This, it will identify any plant or tree that you take a photograph of. And I mean,
wow.
great information. Great information. So,
Wow. Well,
so
most trees and plants I know because I'm from the islands. So my mother, I was the people who adopted me were Jamaican. So I lived in Jamaica from the time I was 6. My mother was Maroon, which is from the Cameroon, and her father was Arawak. So the Cameroons, which are the Maroon people, we call them Maroons in Jamaica, but they're Cameroon. They believe in bush healing. That is their avenue of healing. They also are very heavy into obia. We call it obia. So I learned a lot from the woman. I learned about bush, a lot about bushes, because they keep it a secret within their village. So as far as the healing and the herbs and the bushes, most of them I can identify them when I see them.
now give me a moment, because I'm gonna move on to a linker for a second. But I just want to add to what you said. Now be careful, because the plants in the Caribbean, we have some of those, but not all of them, and vice versa. I often teach about the Africans who were captured, being able to recognize many plants here in the New World from West Africa, but they still had to adapt to new variations of plant, new variation, of vegetation. Come on in, Olinka Green, beloved.
Hello, how you doing today, sir? Is all well with you?
All is a blessing.
Oh, first of all, I want to say thank you for letting me be on your show. And second of all, I want to say that when I lived in the Caribbean, I lived in St. Croix, and I got very sick while I was there. And the lady whose house I stayed in, she had a moringa tree at the back. She gave me some of the moringa, and she told me to be very careful about drinking it. Well, me being from America, want to try anything, I drank too much of it, and it put me to sleep for 2 hours. And then I woke up with a bad eye infection, and she told me to put it on my eye, and it cleaned up my my eye infection. But once I went over there and I got with the sisters, I'm not going to say that they practiced Obeah, but they were called the Daughters of the White. And because I had studied here in America up under some great teachers here,
the proper name for them is Pocomina. The proper name for them is Pocomina.
Okay, Pocomina. Okay, so because what I learned here, they invited me to the table, so I was very impressed with that. So I learned a lot while I was there. And maybe one day I can come back on and talk to you about how I got possessed. And they gave me a salt water bath, and they also gave me a fire bath, but that's a different story. But very, very different, very different. And I mean, when I tell you that I had basically what it really was, the lady that went there, she went with her boyfriend, and he cut her up. And for some strange reason, she decided that she needed me to help find her spirit. And it was just like a real different type of thing, but I don't want to take up too much air. But I know what it's like to have that possession. And I also know what it's like to have the sisters come and help you. But what I wanted to ask is this right here. In this fight for Black Lives Matter, which I'm very prominent in, do you see a place for our type of magic on the forefront? Because what we're dealing with, because what we're dealing with right now, we're dealing with some real evil forces. We're dealing with some real evil forces. And I'm in Texas. I'm in Dallas. So we're dealing with some real evil forces of white supremacy and a whole bunch, just real evil. And what I'm saying is that I know during the Haitian Revolution, that was used. Bookman Esperanza, Queen Nanny. You know what I'm saying? And I think that just my personal thing, I think that we need more than just protest signs. I think that we need to go back, and I think we need to deal with the ancestors and bring back some real stuff to knock some of this stuff down. So I know you got a whole show. I'm honored to be in the room with you, and I would love to hear more about that, if you don't mind, my brother. And thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. And you don't have to go, just mute your mic a little bit.
Yes, sir.
What you said also speaks to what Sterling introduced in the conversation earlier about the idea that people want magic and instant, quick TV magic, not real rooted spirituality and religion, not real rooted practice. So I think the modern mind thinks of Bois Cayman, you know, and the Haitian Revolution as something that happened instantly and something that happened overnight. A lot of people think Bois Cayman is one ceremony. Bois Cayman was a series of ceremonies that took place over a long period of time. And so as Olenka is introduced into the conversation, during that time, they were looking at what they were eating, what they were drinking, what they were storing, what they were saving for the revolution. And they were also ingesting herbs, roots, plants like skullcap, for instance, that can change your mind, that can change how you see your reality, that can affect how you feel in the moment. Not just some quick, you know, something that take in the moment to make them go crazy, what, for 15 minutes, you know, to then get violent and go off into war. That wouldn't make any sense. We're talking about something that had to build up in your blood, that had to build up in your energy, like Ashe. So participating in the Bois Cayman was a literal building of that energy. But while it was happening, they were absolutely chewing Low John. They were absolutely biting on other plants and other herbs and ingesting things to prepare them for war, if you will. We like to think of voodoo in this modern context, very reactionary, to fix my love life, help me hit the lotto, you know, bring my man back, you know, this kind of stuff. But voodoo from the motherland was about healing, was about, as Olenka suggested, ancestral acknowledgement and worship and hearing. Because when we think of prayer, you know, from the Western perspective, we beg and plead and asking for stuff, you know, and then we get up and we keep moving. At what point do we listen? At what point do you stop long enough to hear what God or the goddess or the ancestors or spirit has to say? And so that's what Bois Cayman was. If you've ever been party to a real, authentic voodoo ceremony, they last all night, beloved. Y'all complain about 2 hours of church. Real voodoo lasts all night. All night. We gather at 4 o'clock. It's food. It's a little conversation, just like at your Baptist church, a little chatter, you know. But then the music starts. People get quiet. People start going into spirit. People start listening. And so we might drum and dance for 5 hours and stop and eat and dance for another 4 hours. I often describe Oshun, my Orisha Romance people, please listen up. Oshun might make you dance for 12 hours before she even come into the room, before she even acknowledge you. And then she might show up and not face you. She might turn her back to you for almost the entirety of the ceremony. And of course, there's a mystery to that. There's deeper meaning to that, but it speaks to our desire for the quick fix. You all do understand that 1 or 2 marches ain't gonna fix this. 1 or 2 protests ain't gonna fix this. And if you're not prepared, Olenka, if they're not prepared to protest every day for maybe the next 10 years, you know, like a civil rights movement, like a Marcus Garvey movement, then you're not being realistic about what it takes to move energy. And magic, let's think about what magic really is now, the illusion of something magical. Let's go to the Bible. And Moses had the rod, and Pharaoh challenged Moses. Moses said, let my people go, or God is going to bring pestilence and wrath upon you. And he threw that rod down and it turned into a serpent, the original obeah. Okay, I'm leaking truth right now. The magicians threw their rods down, and all their rods turned to serpents. But Moses' serpent, according to the story, ate up all the other serpents. So that speaks to the difference between divine intervention, ancestral intervention, angelic intervention, and quote unquote magic. That's why I don't particularly care for the word spell. All this dirty language, English is a dirty language, y'all, have all these hidden meanings, all these double entendres. Spell mean temporary, beloved. Spell mean temporary. So how often do you need to feed that, to fix that, to go back at that, to readdress that before we get to the root of what healing is? Removing it so that it don't become the generational curse. Removing it so that it isn't repeated again. You know, doing the real work for empowerment. When we think of our great leaders, and you can choose anyone you want, male or female, they put a lot of years into that, a lot of their life into that. I'm not talking about the martyrs like an Emmett Till. Emmett Till was a martyr. Emmett Till didn't set out to be a emblematic of our, desire for freedom. He was an unfortunate martyr. But when you think about our leaders, our great leaders, even Malcolm X, they started from the bottom. They went through systems, often more than one. We know that Malcolm followed more than one religion in the course of his life and then he evolved to another place. So in order for us to really take what Olinka is saying and apply it, I know y'all don't want to hear this. We have to be willing to do the work. And you have to be willing to do the work on the individual level first. And then do it for your family. And then do it for your community. If you can't feed yourself, as my sister One Wapani says all the time, where's your revolution? If you can't feed your army, where's your revolution? If you can't supply your community, where's your revolution? If you can't trust your community, where is your revolution? So we have to get beyond, demographics of religion, for instance. Understand, boy, I came and don't mean everybody had the same religion. That's never been the case. We've never been from the same tribe. We've never all been from the same ethnic group. We've never all followed the same God. We've never all had the same quote unquote ritual practices. So we're trying to force something organic into an artificial sieve through an artificial tube. And so we've got to go back, Olinka. We have to. We've got to go back, Kalia. We have to. Kiona, you on, but you never said nothing. Are you with us?
Yes, no, I'm just listening. I'm just so grateful for our ancestors, for all of the wall that are present before us and that has granted us this moment in the land of the living.
Okay.
They are with us and I feel it. I'm grateful for everybody that's here. I'm grateful for true healing in this house. And I'm just absorbing all of the energy. And so that's why I haven't said anything, because I'm here in this moment just in gratitude.
Well, give thanks. I think we should address maroons again, because there's a way in which Kalia used maroons, and then there's a way in which we use maroons in the Americas. Okay. And first, there's that from the American perspective, those who escaped slavery, often in mountainous regions like Cuba, Jamaica, areas of that age, where they were able to continue or redevelop a continuance of African culture separate from mainstream society. We indeed had maroon camps here. In fact, when we think about enslavement in America, the largest percentage of those maroon camps were in Louisiana. And we're not taught about that. We don't teach about that. We know about Nanny and the Maroons. And often when people think about maroonage, they immediately go to nannying the Maroons. They don't think about north of the border at all. They don't think about other enslaved Africans in other regions that managed to escape, to get away, and find some way of survival in nature. The story here in New Orleans, the history here in New Orleans, for me, is tied to Saint Milo. Saint Milo. And Saint Milo was Black, quite possibly Hispanic and Filipino, and managed to escape and return. Escape, live out in the Maroonage, live out in the wilderness for weeks at a time, come back into town, gather food, gather resources, steal weaponry, and then go back out again. And many risked their lives to do so. Many saw their wives sold off, saw their mothers sold off, saw their children sold off, and worked tirelessly to find out where they were. And if they were in any vicinity, they would escape to go see them. They might know Master's schedule. They might know Master goes away for Thanksgiving for 3 weeks, goes away for Christmas for 3 weeks. And then they might escape during that time and go see their wife, go see their mother, go see their loved ones. So Maroonage in the American context is little discussed. It really needs a greater platform. It really needs to be heard just as much as we are aware of the Maroonage that took place in Brazil and in the Caribbean and in other parts of the world. Now, the way in which you all were using Maroon today in direct connection to Cameroon, I've never heard that before.
Oh, yes.
I've never heard that before. Can you speak to that?
We're taught different in the islands, and most of the people that were maroons in that area were from Cameroon. We're shipped over from, have some Cameroon blood in them. So when they talk about it, it's just really the bloodline. You understand what I'm saying? They're either Arawak, which were the first Indians that were in Jamaica, mixed with Cameroon African. And those people were the slaves. And when they came to shore, they ran up in the mountains, as you said, and they used the hobia to protect themselves from the slave masters. Because you know the slavery in the islands was a sugarcane slavery, which was one of the harshest slaveries. They believed in more bucking than anything. That's why in Jamaica, you know, they hate, you know, whatever. But that's what it all stemmed from. So most of those people had a lot of Cameroon blood in them. Those were Cameroon Africans mixed with Arawak. So that's where that came from.
So do you believe that even the usage of the word maroon may have originate there and then spread out to other regions of the New York?
Of course. I believe that there's universal knowledge, right? And I believe in every region, there was a story to tell. Do you know what I'm saying? Because they're all the same people. They're all one, whether you're from Louisiana, America, Jamaica, Trinidad, a Spanish country. They were just sent on different ships, but they're all one people. You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying.
It's just like when you have the Cimarrons that came to New York.
I couldn't hear you, love.
It's like when you had the Cimarrons that came to New York. They were outlawed because they were the most vicious. I mean, not vicious, but they were the most rebellious. And they made a law in New York that it was against the law for you to import Cimarrons or Cimarroons because they did not comply.
Right.
They did not comply. They when we talk about slave rebellion, we talk about slave. I'm not gonna call them rebellion. I'm gonna call them uplifting yourself up out of that. The Cimarroons, they did not play with them.
Right.
And that came out of, I guess they were saying Cameroons, but they call them Cimarroons.
Right.
They did not play with that. And a lot of folks don't know that in St. Thomas, which is right across the street, I say right across the way from St. Croix, the Ashanti, they took over the island for a while. And the British, they had to fight the British to get it back.
stop, Olinka, stop. See, y'all are throwing out too many words here. And for me,
Well,
hold on, y'all are throwing out code words. So you just said Ashantahini. Ashantahini. If you've ever seen some of my temple pictures, I got a huge green tapestry with gold beads on it. It is a Ashantahini. And it is a garment in the Akan that's passed on to leaders, to royalty, to people of a particular Akan lineage. And as DP is putting in the chat, Queen Nanny of Maroons was known to be Akan.
Right. And if it's a Khan, then I'm like I said, I'm from Texas. I'm saying, okay.
Hold on, because I'm speaking really to Kalia right now.
Okay.
Speaking to everybody, but I'm speaking to what Kalia said. So I think maybe, just maybe, in Jamaica, just like we do here in the South, you hear one word and you attach it to another word.
It could be.
And it
could be. That's why I'm here to learn. Like I said.
Me too.
Me knows everything, knows nothing at all.
Hold on. Right. Because we have an understanding here in America, and particularly in Louisiana, that maroon and maroonage is not limited to one ethnic group. So when you say Cameroon, first of all, when you say Cameroon, you're talking about a country. You're not even talking about ethnic. Of course. Group. And then when DP interjects Akan and Olinka interjects Asantahini, now we're talking about ethnic groups. And so we, for
fact, I am Cameroon. For blood fact, I am Cameroon. I am Benin, Congo. So I do know my bloodline.
That's not the point I'm trying to make.
Right.
That's why I asked you all to listen. That's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that when we say maroon and we talk about maroonage, we are not talking about Cameroon.
Right. Okay. Okay. I get what you're saying. When
we study what maroonage is, we find many ethnic groups fought against enslavement. And so they would be included as maroons if they managed to escape slavery, develop a camp or a lifestyle away from slavery for any amount of time. And so we know that did not happen just in Jamaica. We also know it happened in Brazil. We also know that it happened.
Right.
So the only point I'm making is that it's not a direct tie to Cameroon as a country. In fact, Cameroon, as we know it now, was not Cameroon during the time of enslavement. So we have to look at ethnic groups. And I don't know how many of my previous shows you've ever watched, Kalia, but I talk about this a lot in terms of how we generalize Obia.
This is my first show of yours.
We generalize Obia. We generalize Voodoo. We generalize what Ifa is without acknowledging the ethnic groups behind it. So when we say Ifa, for instance, you're speaking Yoruba. You're speaking Yoruba. My people are Fanti. My people are Fan. They say Fa with no I. Fa. So often, I have clients come to me, they say, oh, well, I'm trying to figure out my lineage. And they don't say ethnic group. They say my lineage. And then they say, should I be doing Ifa or should I be doing Voodoo? And they're the same thing. Just different wording, just different language. Right. Like you said, Kalia, they took us and then scattered us. So there would have been a multitude of ethnic groups present. There would have been several families, if that's an easier word to digest, several families present. And not all of them would have been down with it. I think it's a mistake for us, not for you all, but for us to feed into the idea of the house and the field. The house Negro and the field Negro, which is how it plays out here, Kalia, in the US. Somehow this idea that the house Negro was weak and didn't fend for himself and didn't fight and didn't have any fight in him is a lie. You
Yeah,
can watch TV and figure that out. So I do know a little bit about Jamaica. I make a conscious decision not to talk about Jamaica a whole lot on my show because I got issues with Jamaica.
Neophyte Bokor is on.
That's okay. That's all right. I'm American born. I'm a born American. That's just where I ended up as any other slave.
Some of the politics that come out of Jamaica sometimes that affect us, you know, as Black people. Like that they're still lynching gay people and lesbians in Jamaica. I just can't support that, you know. But in terms of, you know, when I hear Cameroon, I feel the connection, you know. But I think that's just how we use words in our community, you know, in the Black, you know, and we put things together, you know, and it makes sense to us, you know.
Listen,
where you know,
it's funny because I am a born American. As I told you, I was adopted by Jamaica. The woman was Jamaican and the man was Chinese. So I got a broad band of life, right?
Well, let me say this real quick. You don't have much of a Chinese accent at all.
No. I have a Jamaican accent.
You got a strong Jamaican accent. You really do.
But here's the funny thing. My blood is not Jamaican. My mother's family, because I told you I'm finding out who I am, they're from Louisiana. And my father's family, they're from the Carolinas and Georgia. You understand? But these people adopted me at a young age. So being in the islands, you pick up the dialect. You understand? You speak patois. I mean, that is what I learned. But it's a lot of fight that I had to fight growing up because I'm a true believer for my people. I'm true to my people. And I believe Jamaicans are very racist, especially when it comes to American, especially when it comes to Haitians. I married a Haitian. I've been married to a Haitian for 25 years. And I remember when I was marrying him, they was like, why you gonna marry Haitian? We're not marry Haitian. And I was like, what the, excuse my language, what the frig? Like, how you gonna tell me who to love? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I remember being even a little girl and they would be like, oh, you see how you're ugly? You see how you're black? You're very black and you're very ugly. You're too black. And it was just an attack on Jamaican people have a racist within them. It's even a self-hate for themselves. And I don't want to say all, God forgive me. But the ones that I've been exposed to, it's rampant through it. You understand what I'm saying? Through the island.
Yes.
And it's a self-hate. And I had to learn that because the woman used to call me ugly for no reason. And she was 10 times damn blacker than me. So as I grew up, I had to learn that really you didn't hate me. You hated yourself. You understand what I'm saying? She married a Chinese man and had children that look mixed. I don't need to do that. You understand what I'm saying? I love my Haitian husband and I love my black children. Now, I don't got a problem with nobody who want to mix. I don't have a problem with gay people. I don't have a problem with I know live your life to make you happy. I got to stand before the Father just like you do. I ain't in nobody business, honey. I got enough problems of my own. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in the Jamaican community, it's not like that. It isn't. You understand what I'm saying? And you have it hard because I was very dark skinned. Everyone in my house was light except the woman. You understand what I'm saying? And you're 6 years old and someone's telling you you're black and you ugly. And you're going to die in prison because you black and ugly.
Hold on. Neophyte Bokor, I don't know what's going on. You're not on the phone. You're not present in the chat. So I don't understand what your question mark is about. In fact, I don't know where you are, to be quite honest. So somebody suggested, I think it was Kiona, that you had something to say, but you're not visible anywhere, bruh. So I don't know what's going on with that. Aaliyah, I love what you just said because you also gave me the opportunity to address another misnomer in Black America, and that is that we just all Black and that there is no distinctions or prejudices or even racism that exists within us. And I preach every day, make sure you get the racism out of you first. Get the white supremacy out of you first. I'm talking to you, Black men. I'm talking to you, Black woman. Make sure you get it out of you first. Some of the most egregious racial incidents of my life always involve people of my color, people from my community. You know, now they might be Jamaican, they might be Haitian. I don't think people are truly aware of the level of racism that exists in the Haitian community, for instance, towards African Americans. You know, they will take your money, they will take your tourism, but behind closed doors and when they're in group and when they're speaking patois, they don't accept you as a part of who they are.
But
And
no one accepts Americans. And the sad part about it is Americans paved the way for you to even come to this damn country. So who gives you the right to have any racism? Like, I don't understand it. The Spanish come here, they don't like Black Americans. The Jamaicans come here, every island comes to this country and don't like Black Americans, but Black Americans built this country and paved the way for you to come.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? I be cussing people out. I ain't gonna lie. I am not that.
They're riding on the American dream. They're riding on the illusion of the American dream. And the American dream has never included us, has never included me, has never included you. And so they're bringing and demonstrating what they've heard, what they've taught, what the U.S. has taught them about us, what the world has taught them about us. And so they come here and that becomes a part of their demonstration until they're forced to live with us on real terms. Now, I've had the opportunity to befriend, and I go out of my way to befriend these foreign store owners in the middle of our community. Because I want to know why. Who are you? Where are you from? Why are you opening up this store in the middle of my neighborhood, in the middle of my hood, where there are no other Chinese people, where there are no other Arab people? I want to know. And so in order to do that, you got to communicate. You got to be friendly enough to at least get some names and numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I pull out my little Google Translate, you know, and I'll learn a few words of their language. You know, I know a few words in a lot of languages.
Me too.
Ethiopian, Arabic, you know, and I throw out what little words I know in Igbo, Yoruba, you know, and it always opens them up. And then I start asking questions. Well, what do they tell you about slavery where you're from? What do they tell you about Black people in America where you're from? You know, even online, I ask those questions, you know, in the Badu, in the WhatsApp. You know, those are some of the first questions that I ask. And you'd be surprised how many of them shut down within 2 or 3 questions. Because one say it out loud. It's just not spoken out loud. You know, so we as Blacks in America who are repatriating in our heads, in our minds, in our hearts, in our consciousness, we've really got to become more, can I say universal? Yes. Can I say international? And we've got to expose ourselves to Black people other than just what's going on in the US and vice versa. If we don't tell our story is being told by other people. And so
Cora is back. Cora's back.
Back where? Back where? Back where? He's not on screen. He's not on the phone line. So he's back where, Kiona? That's my question. He's back, but where? Okay.
They're saying that he's on StreamYard.
I don't see him at all. We don't see him at all. I see his name in chat, and that's. I see him in chat, and that's it. He's not on screen.
One of the things that I found out that, like when I went to St. Croix, and this is really strange, is that when I was here in America, I could not catch a boyfriend. I get to St. Croix, I had to have Negro repellent. It was like, you know, you're from America, and you know, it was weird because they found me exotic over there, you know, because I was from the South. But over here, I couldn't catch a Negro flu, and it was just very different when you meet Black people who speak a total different language than you. I would be on the bus, and it would be people sitting in front of me speaking languages like from Grenada from St. Lucia, from Trinidad. And I was just, it would be like being at the UN.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like very, very interesting. And like where we say, hello, how you doing? They say good night, you know, and I had to learn how to just really, I guess I had to train my ear on the language. I had to train my tongue to the food. Like,
and let me dare say, I've had the same experience, beloved. Now in America, black men don't think nothing about me in America, but in Brazil, I'm hot in Brazil. I'm in Honduras.
You hot in Brazil?
Baby,
oh my God!
Listen, that is so racist too. I gotta say that there are many black men that will think you're attractive here as well.
Listen, I'm speaking from my experience. Listen,
oh God,
from my experience.
That is so racist too. I gotta say that there are many black men that will think you're attractive here as well.
Baby, I'm trying
where
to
the big girls love at? Where are the big girls love at? Because I am on my way.
Listen, I couldn't catch a Negro on a bus. I couldn't catch a Negro on a bus over here.
Okay, we get a lot of feedback. Olinka, somebody, y'all gotta turn y'all volume down. You're getting way too much feedback. Somebody got their volume up too high and it's too close to your mic. That's Olinka. Okay, Olinka, you gotta adjust your background noise, boo. I don't know where your mic is, but when you move around like that, we hear everything that's going on in your house. Thank you. So I muted you just for a second. I just unmuted you, so you must have muted yourself. And when you're ready to talk, just unmute yourself. But when you get up like that, something weird goes on, and we hear everything in your house.
Wherever they see big women as wealthy, let me know. I am on my way to relocate.
They say Africa loves big women. I let men like big women too. I'm a big girl. I'm not small. I'm a size 14.
Kalia, Kalia, I don't disagree with you in that it's racist. I don't disagree with you because, for instance, here in America, I'm not treated like a Black American. That's why I don't get a lot of attention from Black men. I'm looked as a foreigner. Even by people looking like this, they look at me and treat me like a foreigner. Right. Now, if I decide I want to speak another language that day, you'd be real confused about where I was from. And so I'm like a magnet here to people from other places.
Okay, I got you.
I call the Uber, or I get in an Uber, or I get in a cab, or I'm hanging out, out in public. The African or the Black person from somewhere else is going to be attracted to me like a magnet. And to a degree, there is a little bit of racism in there. I've had the police stop me in a group of people and step me to the side and harass the rest of the group.
So sad.
I'm serious, this is happening.
That is so sad.
They'd be like, you stand over here. And then they searched everybody else in the group. And so, yes, there is a level of racism in that. But it comes from,
so what, they thought you was a terrorist?
No, it's just that he looks foreigner. So they're thinking he's not even from this country, so he's not doing no crimes.
Right. I'm looked at somehow as not less threatening or desperate, maybe.
It's funny because when I go out with my husband, right? And this is I find this hilarious. My husband is Pakistani, Haitian, Dominican, and Brazilian, right? So if you look at him, he looks like a black.
Oh, I get it. I was a little slow. They was harassing the people with you, and they put you to the side like, okay, I got it.
So he looks like a mixed man. He looks like a black Pakistani, but he's dark skinned. But his skin is like a black Cuban or something. And we'll be walking together, and they'll just start speaking Spanish to us both. Now, he speaks Spanish, French, Creole, Chinese. He speaks like 4 or 5 languages. Me, I speak English, right? But patois too. So and I speak a couple words Chinese, a few words of things that I need to survive. But he speaks fluent. And it's funny because they'll look at me and they will look at him and they will never think that I'm his wife. Me and him have went on the road and they've seen our children and our children look mixed, some of them. And they'll be like, oh, where's your wife? They'll ask him, where's his wife? Or where's the mother of the children?
She said that she get outside. I didn't know she left the house with 10 children.
Who? My
She
kids
said
are
she
grown.
been pregnant 10 times. So she been pregnant her whole adulthood.
Listen, I'm 40. I'll be 44 this year. I have a 26-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 24-year-old. Honey, my kids are grown. My last baby is 6. And I had no problems with none of my children. I never had to work. My husband always worked. And I was the stay-at-home mom. So I stayed home and I taught my children their history. I taught them who they were. And that's why I speak the way I do, because they need to know.
You got it in, yes.
Girl, honey,
Listen, somebody in the back of the church wants to know what kind of voodoo you use to catch a man like that.
I didn't use none. I'm just fine. Listen, self-love. And it's funny because if I show you a picture of him, you'll be like, my God.
She ain't have no cable. She ain't have nothing.
And I have all of it. You know, me and him are kind of arguing right now, all jokes aside, little sidebar. Because he's like, he want to touch me every day. I'm not that person. I'm a Saggy. I need to be left alone and recharge. He's a Leo. And I'll be like, damn, bro, like, leave me alone, dog. And he's like Mr. Octopus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So me and him be battling with that. Like this morning, he's going to say, oh, you don't want to be up under me 24 hours a day. No, bro, I'm a Sag. I don't like being up under nobody.
With me. I would have to pencil. I would have to get an appointment book and have to put him on the books.
Girl, he was mad when I tied my tubes. He was like, how could you do that to me? What? Man, I done gave you 10 kids. How many more you want?
Keon, I know a woman who not only got her man on a schedule, but he got to pay the date.
Oh, he got to pay me too. I don't sleep with nobody for free, honey.
Yeah,
man, I done gave you 10 kids. How many more you want?
Y'all killing me over here.
Keon.
He know that. He tells my daughters, he say, I don't know how you pick up a broke boyfriend. Your mom ain't free for even me. I sure ain't. I ain't free for nobody.
And I agree with that. I think that in an indigenous context, in an African context, that's how things work. The woman was the head of the household. The woman ran the marketplace.
Cause you know it's hard to date me. I had a guy that tell me that he wants to be with me all night long. I told him, I only do five minutes or less.
No, she didn't say 5 minutes or less.
Honey, if you go in 20 minutes, that's too much. Ain't that much doing in the world? Like, go away. Like, you always on my neck. You always, like, he always want to touch and feel. Like, stop touching me, bro. Like, back up. And I get hood, too. I be like, damn, my nigga. Like, stop touching me, bro.
I got things to do. I ain't got time for that all night.
Yeah, like, he's like, all you care about is running around with the grandkids. I'm like, bruh, listen, he's a big baby. He is a very spoiled man. I wash, I cook, I clean, I hold his household down. He doesn't have to do anything when he comes home because I believe in serving my man. So I serve. You understand?
That's right.
Damn, bruh, I'm going through menopause. You're going to have to let me recharge a little bit, bruh.
You look good, though. You look real good.
Neophyte, you awfully quiet, bro. Where you at?
I'm trying to catch my breath. I'm laughing so hard.
Oh.
I'm trying not to be rude. I'm trying to mute my mic and do all my laughing off air.
Amen.
You awfully quiet, bro.
I'm trying to catch my breath. I'm laughing so hard.
Oh.
Since you got that black girl magic for real over there.
My mic and do all my laughing off air.
Amen.
You awfully quiet, bro.
She is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to catch my breath. I'm laughing so hard.
Hold on.
Sis, you got that black girl magic for real over there.
My mic and do all my laugh.
Okay, Link, something weird is going on because everything is repeating like multiple times. So, Link, I had to mute you again. Neophyte Bokur, he muted himself.
Yeah, I muted myself. I'm trying to make sure that it wasn't me giving the feedback.
Yeah, you could hear that. It was like an echo chamber.
Oh, yeah.
So go ahead and say your piece.
Now that I caught my breath, I can breathe now. I wanted to throw in some of the little history on British Jamaica. So British Jamaica had to deal with Windrush, and they're still dealing with Windrush right now. Right, a lot of people trying to repatriate back to Jamaica from Britain. And there's a lot of history going on. If I'm not mistaken, Akala is going to be giving a lecture on that in a couple of days because of a book that he released a while back ago. And I think it would be beneficial if some people tuned into that and researched that. Dr. John Henry Clark, it was one of his studies was on the British and Jamaican relationship, dealing with America and the slavery that essentially migrated over from the islands, especially between Haiti and Jamaica. You got two different things going on here. When you're bringing in all of these different Africans from different places, and you start getting these word games, right? Just like how we had earlier, where we had the Cameroons, where we're dealing with the verb and not the noun. Right? We're getting confused with which one is which, the action or the people. There's a big difference between those two, and we keep, every time I hear anyone talking about it, I always hear that same issue where we're confusing the verb with the noun. Just like with slavery is an action, not a people. If we have to start delegating these word types that we're dealing with, the wordplay, the spells and whatnot that we're dealing with. This is just in the English language. They don't necessarily have such language in or terms for these different things in other people's language. It's all introduced.
Right, I agree, and I also agree. In support of the millennials, that we do readdress words, that we do readdress vocabulary, that we do, just like the mainstream world does. At least here in the U.S., every year, usually around New Year's, they drop off certain words out of the dictionary, and then they add new words, like selfie, to the dictionary, new modern word usage. So I agree that we absolutely need to go back and not just readdress, the people, but also the action, and to be a little bit more specific now that we have more technology, now that we have more archaeology, now that we have more facts that we can apply. I agree with you on that 100%. I just would add that a part of the movement should be to readdress language in general, how we view elder, how we view activists. All these words have evolved,
Yes.
In terms of usage, in terms of severity, and how we respond to those words when we hear them, what we expect from those words when we hear them. So I think that's important. The idea that everybody, now is a reader, the idea now that everybody now has magical powers, has spiritual powers, is a little bit overdone, in terms of where people are putting in the work, where people are building the foundation behind those traditions, behind those ideas, and just doing that work within itself can be all-consuming, Ask my sister Wapani. It can be. I'm trying to, just examine, a word, a phraseology, an ethnic group, a people, and go at it from an academic, if you will, perspective, and really start looking at the dictionary, the sources, the encyclopedias, the theses that have been written, as opposed to what pops up on that first page when you do a Google search.
Right,
And,
the Wikipedia search and whatnot comes up first. Is the very first 5 things that pop up on your search is going to be either Wikipedia or Google search. This is all fine. It's a good start, but you're going to have to scroll down a little bit. You know what I mean?
I like to put it this way: what pops up is what's paid for. Those are your promotional ads. Okay. What's promoted, that's what pops up first, and then what's popular, not necessarily what's real or what's the truth. And listen, I don't want to sound arrogant. I use Wikipedia, I use Google, but typically I go 10 pages or more in. If it's present, I go 10 pages in to the search. I usually don't pay attention to the first 10 pages for that reason. Looking for something a little bit more organic, more authentic, more rooted, and with a footprint.
Right. It's just like how everybody goes shopping. I mean, when you go to the grocery store, you don't always grab the first thing on the very first shelf, the very first item in front. No, you go to the back a little bit. You want to get to the one that has the least amount of hands touching it. You reach in the back, grab the one from the back. You got to do that with the internet as well.
But that
you can't just take the very.
Just be you.
It might be. Yeah, it might just be me.
Because if you understand how grocery stores are laid out, they put what's most popular. They put what they get rid of, and usually what's least healthy is the first thing you see coming in. It's the first thing in the aisle. It's the closest thing to reach. Your healthier food is way up high or way down low. Or like
product shelving, product marketing, the way they put it, they pay for that shelving. The companies pay for that shelving, and they pay for that advertisement to be the first thing you see. The most popular thing.
Every grocery store has a discount shelf, a discount corner. Somebody tell me, why is it always way in the back of the store, next to that door that the employees use to come and go through? and then on the other side, it's right next to the fish. The smelliest. So
they play certain music in the supermarket, and it's supposed to keep you calm. They put the milk always
right back there where you can go to the restroom.
And the milk is always
the fumes from the restroom is coming out, lingering all on the packaging.
Yeah, but they put the milk to the back because the farther you go back for the milk, you need milk. You have to get milk. So in the process, you stopped and seen chips, you stopped and seen juice and all kind of other foolishness you didn't go to the store for. And that's how they market. That's how they make their money.
That's right.
Right. And that same thing can be applied to the internet. It's a visual market. You go in, and they usually pop a couple pictures on there that catch your eye and distract you from the original thing that you were searching for. And then once you search for that or click on it, you notice that the page has these little extra optional windows that scroll on themselves as well. So now you completely lost what you were looking for in the first place in your search.
Yes.
I've done like this on purpose. We all know this already, but all I'm saying is dig a little deeper, not to coin a phrase from Disney or anything like that, but in your search, especially when you're trying to figure out, well, why are Jamaicans racist? Why are the Haitians not?
I understand. Because I was the one who said that. So I'll address that.
Yes.
I understand. I'm married to a Haitian and I grew up Jamaican. So I understand why they are. that doesn't make it right. With in
It doesn't
anything
make
in
it
life,
right just because they have what they say high color. Him have high color. Yeah, I
you
grasp that.
understand? Well, no, because I came from a family. My father was Chinese, as I told you. So I came from a family,
Hmm.
and my grandfather was Arawak, so he was Indian. So he was a straight, bone straight haired man with a straight nose. You understand what I'm saying? So that
Yes.
a lot of them, like I said, when ignorance is a terrible thing. You have to search yourself. Everything in life is soul searching. I always tell my kids, "Known thine self." That's my favorite line. Known thine self. You understand
Hmm.
what I'm saying? You have to deal, like he said, you have to deal with your own racism. That's not my job. My job is not to make you not to make you not racist. You understand what I'm saying? There is some soul searching you need to do. Because if you're gonna come to someone else's country and then have the nerve to have a hate for them, you understand what I'm saying? You have a nerve. You really have a nerve. Like, that's why I cuss their ass out. I cuss all them Haitians out. Them Jamaicans, they get cussed out too. I don't care. I don't hold my tongue for anybody. I cuss the preacher out as much as I'll cuss anybody out. Because right is right and wrong is wrong. And I'm a person of justice. I believe in being just. So whether you're Jamaican, whether you're American, there's good and bad in all races. White, black, Jamaican, Chinese, all races. We have to know ourselves. We have to learn to change ourselves and pick our spirits apart. Literally, you ever ate a fish? You have to pick so you don't get that bone down your throat. That's what racism is. It's eating that fish so fast that that bone is lodged in your throat, the core of your soul. And we're passing that crap down. And it's wrong. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't. I don't want my children growing up in a world where everybody hates each other. Like, what the hell, yo? You have to teach your children better. You understand what I'm saying? And that's where the problem is. They're passing the shit down. I don't have a problem with you not liking me. Frankly, I don't give a shit because what you eat don't make me shit. Excuse my language. I'ma live, I'ma sleep, and I'ma keep moving forward in life. And that's just the reality. But I have a problem when you teach your child who's innocent to hate for any reason because they'll never truly learn to love them. So that's where my problem is.
Right, right. I hear you. I was trying to, throw a little, like I said before in the previous video, I like to come in and poke the bear, find out what's really alive, what's kicking. Where does anybody stand? You can't find out where you stand unless you poke at it.
Well said. Well said.
Right. So that being said, we continue poking. Here's a Windrush a question: is the system being put in place where you have a class system being blended in with a color system?
Well, don't poke too much because somebody may have a little wind on their stomach, so don't do too much poking.
Yeah,
I'm dead.
I think that's a very interesting area to explore as well. Many of you have heard me say, I was a kid on the street. I was a teenage runaway for obvious reasons. And one of the things, well, not one of the things, many of the things that carried with me was my education, what my mother exposed us to. You heard me describe how my mother educated us, coming up. And so those skills rose to the occasion when I needed them most. And so another reason, other than just that I might appear ethnic, or I might appear to be not quite Black, was my diction, or how I spoke, or how I carried myself. And I recognized those things early on to be class-based. Now we look at it as just, how you was brought up. Some of us grew up, in a family of women who were extremely clean. Some of us grew up, in a family of people who liked nice things, So the idea that, Black is somehow synonymous with poverty or the ghetto or being poor or being underexposed is an extension of racism itself and white supremacy. But then when we look at the ethnic groups, I thought it was cute how Kalia, used the word race and racism, but then you said Jamaican, then you said Haitian, which are not race but ethnicity.
Ethnicities, yeah, you're right.
And we still have a strong gray area in the West, particularly when it comes to ethnicity. I think racism has also forced sort of a black, white, and God forbid, red, yellow kind of pattern on the world. And I think even today, that language might be seen as racist today. Would you call a Chinese man yellow? Really?
No.
Would a Native American red man? Really? And so, but we embrace black. We embrace brown. And to some degree, we embrace white, which maintains that white supremacist dynamic. My gift to the world, Kali, I've said this on previous shows. I realize this is your first show, is that everybody who got a social security number should have a DNA test, in my opinion. Now, I know there's a lot of chatter about DNA that was discussed by my sister and some others in the chat while we were talking. You all had a little conversation about DNA and some of the conspiracy theories around DNA and some of your fears around DNA. But I think DNA would even the playing field, just like the internet did, in terms of us getting a grasp on not just race, but ethnicity.
Yeah, I did mine. I did mine 8 years ago. I did mine. I did my DNA.
But I'm talking more so for Americans, and particularly Black and white Americans, who adhere strongly to that color spectrum that I just laid out: red, black, white, yellow. We've come to accept red as being now racist. We've come to accept yellow as now somehow being racist. But yet, in the context of Western culture, we're still comfortable with white, black, and brown. We're still comfortable with that. And it's still feeding the white supremacist system, is what I'm suggesting. It's still feeding into the organization of what racism is. If we can reduce all ethnic groups into black, it takes away your being Jamaican. It strips away the importance of your Haitian heritage. It strips away the importance of your Kenyan or your Ethiopian heritage to just say black or brown. And who's black, really? Who's not from Sudan? Who's black, really? Who's not from Kenya? So yes, indeed, there is a spectrum there that I think Jamaican culture, for instance, uses in a weaponized way. When you say yellow man, when you say bright skinned man, it's a weaponizing of race and ethnicity.
Well, no, I only said bright skin based off of what he was saying. I call everybody black. You black. Just like the Indian man at the store. I told him, I said, you just a good hair black. Yes. Because he said to the guy, he was like, oh, you're a nigger. I was like, so are you. You just think you have good hair. And he got offended, but oh well.
Okay, but my point is, in that context, both of y'all were wrong. In that context, both of y'all were wrong. Because there's a lot of black people from many parts.
No, nobody can call me that word. Nobody can call me that word. I can't stand that word.
He wasn't talking to me. He was talking to a guy that came in the store that, you could see he was a little, he didn't have it. You know what I'm saying? And I said to the Indian guy, I know the guy. I knew the guy for a long time, the Indian guy. You know what I'm saying? I know his father. I know his people. He's at the corner store. So I know them. And I have a catering business. So I buy my meat. They have a meat store. I buy everything bulk from them. So I know them. I have a relationship with them. I know the people that are up there. I sell food to these people, but you will not abuse them in front of me. You're not going to do that. That we're not going to play, or you won't get my money. You will not.
I agree. And Halima Candy in the chat said racism is white power structure that controls and dominates economies, education, entertainment, labor laws, politics, religion, sex, war, etc. And that's really what we're looking at when we start addressing colorism, classism, sexism. At the root is racism. The point, Kalia, I was trying to make with you, beloved, is that even when we say black, we're all black. He black, I'm black, but you got good hair. Well, what's good hair?
Well, all hair is good hair. We know that. But I was just saying that because he felt like, because he have a little Indian hair, he's Indian.
Ooh, girlfriend, you definitely Jamaican raised. You talk like a Jamaican raised, honey. Slow it down. Slow it down, okay? Let me get a word in edgewise. The point I'm trying to make is we say good hair, and we learned that as an extension of white supremacy in the U.S. The Ethiopian didn't learn that concept of good hair. The black in India didn't learn that concept of good hair. So equally, when we say black, when you say you black and I'm black, we all black, you're limiting our acknowledgement of ethnicity, And I don't mean ethnicity as a hierarchy. Because you're Ethiopian doesn't make you superior to Uganda or Sudan. You know, I don't mean it in that sense, but I mean that as long as we allow the environment to deny ethnicity, then that supports, as Halima Candy has laid out, the system of white supremacy. Let's look at it from the perspective of white people. When I offered everybody in America a DNA test, white folks should be in the front of the line. How many white folks are walking around passing Negro, okay, passing as white, and they really black? How many ethnic groups get a pass in the system of white supremacy for appearing to not be or to be less than? You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense, beloved?
Yes, it does.
Come on, y'all. I'm going to give y'all about 15 more minutes. So come on with your questions, comments, requests.
All right, I'll jump back in here. These are great, awesome points. I'm learning so much right now that it's amazing. But I want to throw in the color-coded system that we've adopted in the U.S. And it's sort of kind of leaked into other people's culture and ethnicity as a way to defy or simplify their ethnicity. You know, when you start using these broad stroke terms, broad paintbrush, cover everybody with one color coded systems, you start eliminating their economy. Their economy is what is their ethnicity, their culture. Mm-hmm. We're watering down and kind of diluting their potential as people when you start using this color-coded system. Everybody in China is going to be communist, but yet we all paint them red and yellow. Here in America, where we have this, white people weren't always called white. They were either Anglo-Saxon or they were Caucasian, right? And then they have subgroups, is what they like to call themselves: Scottish, Irish, Germanic, all of these different distinctions. But they all had their different classifications. They all held true to their ethnicity at one point. And then all of a sudden, to distinguish themselves politically, they chose this label white. Well, them choosing this label white kind of throws everybody else into the color-coded system. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right?
Understand, we weren't black until what, the 1960s? Some of you youngsters don't understand that. Some of you younger folks don't understand that in my lifetime, in the lifetime of my sister and my mom, I can remember a time when there was no black. Nobody said black. You were Negro or Afro-American or many other titles that we've continued to sort of evolve through. So that's a great point, Neophyte Bokor. Continue with that.
Yes, sir. Now, when we go into our civil rights movements, before that, precursor to that, we have our leaders like Marcus Garvey and whatnot, who coined this phrase as a way of being able to collectively organize Negro people, which I can't stand using that term.
But you have to put it in context. That was the word when Marcus Garvey was alive. That was the word. We were not.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we weren't African. Go ahead.
Right, we weren't African because we were American. We fought in several wars. I'm talking from the Civil War, right, between the North and the South. We had black people on either side of that. But even before that, when these colonizers were fighting against the British, when they were trying to go against the British, we still had, again, right, Negroes between fighting on both sides. On both sides of that, on that fight, we get this picture of what Baba Legba looks like, in my personal opinion, from this soldier. It just so happens to look like this soldier that was recruited by the British Army. And, you know, his uniform just so happens to look like a cleaner version of what the image is that's being projected to us of what our new picture of Baba Legba is. And we tend to accept this color system, try to bring it back around. We accept this color system to identify and to acknowledge the fact that we are human beings.
But even when I hear you say that, I'm still hearing we are in human beings in the context of their system.
Exactly. So I'm only putting that out there. I'm trying to see if anybody's got anything else to add to it. But as I'm going on here, I'm trying to get to my point where despite the fact that we're stuck in this system, that's not how we acknowledge who we are. If we go back into digging into our actual history, looking into the slave trade is great and everything, but we're going to have to start looking at some of these fringe proliferary histories that will explain exactly what happened, where we get these distinctions from, right? These politics are very important to keep in mind when we're starting to figure out how to eliminate this color-coded system. The whole point is we have to wash that color-coded system out of our vocabulary somehow.
I suggest the only way to do that is through lineage.
Yes.
And lineage comes through DNA. Now, of course, in the conversation of DNA, you know, as I said a minute ago, you got your conspiracy theorists, you got your people who don't trust, you got people who don't trust the system. Hell, we got people today who don't trust the system, they don't trust education. And so my question is, what then do we replace it with? How then do we educate people? You know, we can say, well, we'll homeschool, but you have to be qualified to homeschool. And you have to have the necessary resources to appropriately homeschool. So how then do we educate beyond the mediums that we're using literally right now, the internet, social media, video, YouTube, StreamYard? How then do we educate large numbers of people and then move this consciousness forward? When I look at the media, social media that's available to us, you know, we know people that's got entertainment platforms, comedy platforms, sexual-based platforms, you know, political platforms. you know, and have 100,000 followers, 200,000 likes. But where indeed is that collection of people coming together who really want change beyond the status quo, beyond what somebody else doesn't already set up for us? And
I
make,
think I think most of us are still hiding in our closet, or in our witch closet.
I agree. I agree. Some of us are too silent, and silence breeds oh shoot, what's the word I'm looking for? Silence breeds
Fear.
no, that's not the word I'm looking for. Indifference. Silence breeds indifference, and indifference breeds inactivity.
Yep.
Is there a delay, or are you with me?
I'm still here. There was something that struck my mind a little while ago. I just want to throw this out here before we go and let everybody kind of dig into this. I love movies and whatnot. I love watching how they like to, sprinkle in some of our culture in there. But once you see that little sprinkling, it's like I take it as like a little clue, and then I go scurry into my little toolbox and start breaking down the little tidbit that they gave me. Right? Take what is that? Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes was a kind of something that threw me off a bit, where they had this disease that they were kind of going to infect everybody with. This is the first Sherlock Holmes movie I was watching, and they were going to infect everybody with this virus that was cultivated out of a pig. And I'm thinking that's exactly how you basically would start it, but it's an older context. And I'm thinking the Haitians also did something similar to that. And I'm wondering, did they inoculate themselves against the diseases that were coming over here from the colonizers and pirates and whatnot? And I'm thinking that they had to have done that, especially if they were taking the roots, doing all of this healing and whatnot. And this is a collective group of all of the different genres of ethnic people, Black people, coming together with all their different sciences and coming together to use that to fight against a war.
A whole new conversation. I mean, we could literally do a whole another 2 hours on.
That was the point. I'm gonna back off of that.
On just Omolu Oye. Omolu Oye, Omolu, Babalu Oye, and how he manifests in the world. Many of you sort of understand him to be infirmities and diseases and smallpox and pestilence. But indeed, Omolu Oye is the antidote.
Exactly.
So I believe that there's contextual proof that supports what you're saying, that was carried through the Middle Passage from Africa into the New World. Listen, we understand that we taught how to grow foods. We and the indigenous people taught how to survive often. And so they didn't just randomly select Blacks. They didn't just randomly select Africans. They tried to target ethnic groups with specific skill sets, who knew how to cultivate rice, who knew how to cultivate yams, who knew how to address pestilence, disease. So the priests of Obolu Oye would have been of a threat, would have been highly sought. Your medicine man would have been sought. The idea of kill the voodoo in America, but on the other side of Atlantic, they absolutely would have sought the healers, the practitioners who possessed knowledge for survival. America was a harsh world for the survival of the European settlers. We have a story of a whole colony of settlers disappearing in this quote unquote new world. We don't know if the indigenous people ate them, if they got swallowed up in the earth. We still don't know what happened to that colony. But we do, without the sciences of the indigenous people and the enslaved Africans themselves, we would not have survived to be here today. So I do believe there was a hidden knowledge, secret knowledge, mystery systems that were carried through the Middle Passage that provided for the Haitians and other communities to create natural vaccines and natural protections from various diseases. The New World did not know sexually transmitted diseases. That's why syphilis, for instance, was able to kill out so many of the indigenous Brazilian population, introduced by your colonizers and your missionaries, you know, who to some degree remain freaks till today. And so we have to look at more natural, organic, earth-based ways of connecting with ourselves and with God to further healing into the future. And just imagine the disappearing of plants, the disappearance of bees, the disappearance of certain species of trees right under our nose, especially those of us who live in the big city. I just told you all, they cut down every apple tree on the lakefront in Chicago, every one of them. They cut down and dug up every peach tree, every blackberry tree on the lakefront in Chicago to build that nice concrete structure y'all have to sit on now, out in that blazing sun with no cover. You know, they got rid of all the trees. They got rid of all of what's natural. And I'm hearing that in some states, they're making it illegal for you to be self-sustaining, for you to grow and harvest food and herbs and plants in your yard. In some places, illegal.
Monsanto, if you don't mind, Monsanto had already paid for the copyright for having productive seeds, and you have to pay a tax in order to get your seed, and those seeds will not reproduce even if you are growing the stuff yourself. You're buying neutered seeds.
You hear that, Wapani? Yeah. Me and Wapani talk about that a lot because often in my gardening, in my voodoo, in my horticulture, I like edible plants. I'm just into edible plants. I ain't got nothing against what's beautiful and what's cute and what flowers, but if I can't eat it, usually I'm not going to grow it. So we talk about that a lot, and I don't do a whole lot of growing from seeds, to be quite honest. I have some that some of my godchildren have sent me that I haven't even explored planting yet, because I find cutting and hybriding from other live plants to be much more useful, to be much more productive. Now, I think it's important based on what Neophyte Bokur just said and what my sister Wapani talks about, you know, the source. Where is the source of the plant that you're generating your seed or your live plant from? I do think that that's important, but I don't do a whole lot of seeds. I collect seeds, beloved, yes. Halima Candy, I collect seeds. And if you come down to New Orleans, you can have some. I've got all kinds of seeds. Let's just put it that way. I got all kinds of seeds. Okay. I got all kinds of seeds from all over the country. I've got seeds. I hesitated. I had to make sure my security is in place. I got seeds that go back to the 80s, to the 1980s, from all over the world. Seeds from various plants. So I do collect them. I do hold on to them. I'm just suggesting that I'm a better green thumb, Coco, with live plants than I am with seeds and germinating seeds. Now, if I can root a plant, yes. If I can find it in nature, yes. You can find great stuff in nature. That's why I suggested this app. And it costs, I think, $30 a year. It's called Picture This. Picture This. I don't know what this looked like on camera. Okay, so it's a camera button, it's a gallery button, and of course, it's a search button. But down at the bottom, you hit the camera, You take a picture of your plant, your tree. I mean, it could be small, it could be just coming up. It is the best search that I've ever found. You just got to pay $29.95 a year to have it in your phone. So for people like Wapani and others who are out in nature, who are out in the woods, in the forest, in the country, but even in the city, you can now better identify what's growing up. And it gives you the opportunity to protect it, to harvest it for yourself, to move it and relocate it. I found ginseng in the wild and I have relocated to my house. I have found blackberry in the wild and have relocated it to my house. So it's great to have a better knowledge of what a plant is, what's available, so that we can harvest them. Are you all doing your homework? I asked some of you maybe a month ago, it might have been back in March, to read Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sower. Greetings, Danica James. I just love that St. Louis Cathedral photograph you got going on. She's asking, how can I become a gardener at the neighborhood gardener? Now, Danica James, I'm going to assume based on your photograph that you're talking about my garden in the neighborhood garden in my neighborhood. Real easy. Give me a call. Real easy. Send me an email. Real easy. I'll hook you up with Miss Gloria. Miss Gloria, one of the most wonderful people you ever want to meet. We from the same place, so I call Miss Gloria my play cousin, and she'll be glad to bring you in. You ain't said nothing but a word, beloved. Danica, just email me. Just send me an email. I'll hook you up with Miss Gloria right now. I'll hook you up with Miss Gloria today. Great question. Great question. Yeah, me and my sister Wapani are deep into sustainability. Not just food, energy sustainability, water sustainability. And unfortunately, for many of you with the Western mindset, it takes a calamity, a tragedy, an emergency to wake you up to that. And the time you need to be focusing on it is right now, when nothing's happening. Right now, when you might have a little bit of resources, and start where you are. Start with what you've got. And if it's not in your community, bring it. Introduce it. Now, we have WaterWise here in New Orleans. WaterWise. And the WaterWise program will help you to better apply natural resources to capture rainwater for the prevention of flooding and damage to property and homes and erosion, but also for usage and recycling. Water barrels are not quite as expensive as you would think. Having the right plumbing, the right, what do you call them, gutters extension on your house to funnel that water into a reservoir. It's not quite as complicated as you might think. And we have programs that do that. So if there's not a WaterWise in your community, you might be the one to write that grant. You might be the one to bring that, introduce that resource into your community. So I have water barrels. My whole community that I live in here in Treme, we have water barrels that I can use to water my garden and to do other things. Now, of course, you can't drink it. That's a whole nother level of sustainability. Now you have to get proper filtration to catch bacteria, to catch amoeba, to catch things you can't see before you can even get to the drinking part. But this is the time to do that. This is the time to plan. I can remember a time, and I'm sure my sister Wapani won't get mad for me saying this, but I can remember a time when Wapani lived in an apartment and maybe had 1 or 2 plants and wasn't thinking about growing nothing, was doing good just to get up and make that schedule, every day. And so we all struggle to change our mind, to change our way of looking at things, to start where you are, to start small, to start with a couple of buckets, to start with a few pots. Yeah, Danica James, if you are in New Orleans, you already in the garden, beloved. Just give me an email. Hey, Joy Joy. Oh, Joy Joy, you got a flooded backyard. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, our street tends to flood sometimes like that. Fortunately, we're not flooded now. I don't believe. Let me look. No, we're not flooded now, but it happens a lot in New Orleans. But we've got to become more sustainable. We can't keep saying we're conscious. We can't keep saying we witches. We can't keep saying we voodoo and hoodoo and root work and conjure, and you running back and forth to the botanica. It don't make no sense. It makes no sense at all. And so you got to begin to learn how to do for yourself, create for yourself. Grow your own sage. Sage is one of the easy. I got so much sage up in here, it's ridiculous. I got sage coming out of my ears, coming out of closets. I got so much sage, it's unbelievable. I get more rosemary than that. So growing is not difficult. Growing in a pot. Some of you have seen my garden. Those are pots. Those kumquat trees, that blueberry tree are in pots. Huge pots, by the way, like 75-gallon pots or bigger. Huge pots. Probably come up to my knees, maybe a little higher than my knees. And I'm 6 foot tall. So there's no excuse. Plastic buckets. You get your husband or the man at Lowe's or Home Depot to drill a hole, couple of holes in the bottom so that you get drainage. You'd be surprised what they'll do for you at Home Depot. Just ask. If you ask, they'll do it for you. But you got to ask, and create sustainability. And not only sustainability, peace. Danica James, my email is scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now. Yeah, sustainability. What happens when Walmart and the trucks can't get to you? Listen, we just went through that for a minute back in April. What no meat, remember? What no milk? How soon we forget? What no toilet paper? Y'all forgot that already? Seriously,
I have an email about that very topic that I just got a couple days ago, explaining exactly what was going on in trucks and the warehouses and the grocery stores. Why? Because obviously I'm driving this stuff, so I can tell you exactly what's going on. I'm gonna send you that email later on after the show.
I'd appreciate that. I would. Yeah. But we've got to begin to plan for the future. We've got to begin to plan for the right now. Whether it's our money, whether it's our food resources, all of our resources, we got to be better stewards of what's available to us, what we already hold in hand, what we already have access to, and then grow. No, you still can't find Lysol, Kiona. I don't know what's going on with Lysol people. I don't know what that conspiracy is, but you can't find Lysol spray anywhere.
Procter and Gamble. Procter and Gamble have a contract with FEMA right now, and it's being stored for government officials. But that's my official quote. Don't necessarily quote me on that. But I did transport a couple of those loads already. So just to drop that in there.
Now, what about the wipes, the sanitation wipes?
The sanitation wipes are right along in that same category. Anything that you can find that's P&G or Procter and Gamble is going to fall under that category, because they hold a patent on that. And a lot of your foods come from Procter and Gamble. You guys really look into that and watch what you're eating too. There is no reason why Procter and Gamble should be making anything food.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you heard it. You heard it here, live at noon, U.S. Central Standard Time. I'm grateful for you all taking the time out of the middle of your day to always be present here with me in this shared sacred space. I look forward to doing it with you again, quite possibly on tomorrow at high noon, U.S. Central Standard Time. I'm going to give you all Mighty Sparrow, Witch Doctor. Until next time, all is truly and indeed a blessing. Respect the voodoo. No matter what you do, respect the voodoo. Ancestors see all. You know he wrote this song about me. Roger, call me Roger. Roger unum bala nga. Abracadabra. Roger, call me Roger. Roger unum bala nga. Ile, unale, ile, abracadabra. The fire blazing and the water hot. It's time to put something in the pot.